What's the most important resource that you have? If you really thought about this deeply, I think you'd come to the same conclusion that Joey and I did. It's time. In our newest book, What's Without Wall Street, the 3 steps to financial freedom through passive income, we talk about how are we tracking that time? What is the thing that we can do to get more of that time back?
That's right. If you've ever been listening to our podcast and thought, man, it would be amazing if I could take all the things that you guys have learned over the last 10 years and just summarize them, put them in some way to easily digest them and take action, that's what this book is all about. You're not going to want to miss it. Go to wealthwithoutwallstreet.com/new book and get your copy today.
All right, we're going to break down Jack and the Beanstalk. And in order to do this well, I think we need to bring the fairy tale onto the podcast. And I'm not certain all of the rules and regulations. I'm sure I'm about to break some here. So I'm going to pull up YouTube's and do my best to make sure I share the sound and let you guys hear the story. And we'll break it down in piece by piece as we go through it. And this YouTube looks like this is Journey to Old Tales. So that's where the credit of this video is from. And let's listen to the start of the story.
Journey to Old Tales. Jack and the Beanstalk. Once upon a time, in a small shack near a village, lived a poor widow and her son Jack. They were going through hard times, with their only remaining possession being a cow named Milky White. With no other means to sustain their livelihood, Jack's mother instructed him to go to the market and sell the cow.
Jack, we have become so poor. We need to go to the market and sell Milky White.
But Mom, Milky White is part of our family.
I know, Jack, but we have no other choice. You understand, don't you?
On his way to the market, carrying a heavy heart about selling the cow, Jack encountered a mysterious old man. The old man offered to exchange the cow for some special magic beans.
Young man, trade your cow for this magic bean.
A magic bean? What does it do?
This single bean holds great power. It can change your life. You'll find out soon enough. Your destiny is calling.
Enchanted by the promise of the magic beans, Jack exchanged the cow for the beans and returned home. However, Jack's mother was greatly disappointed when he returned with the magic beans.
Jack, what have you brought? Where's the money?
These beans are magic beans that will change our fate.
Magic beans? I'm so disappointed. They're worthless.
Jack's mother, in her frustration and disappointment, threw the beans out of the window.
All right. So now in the story, we've got to the point where Jack brings this bean back, right? So excited. He's so excited. He went to the market. He meets this sage, right? This wise man, and he trades a cow in stallion for a bean, but not just any bean, a magic bean. And he comes back, and his mom's not so excited with his beans. I want to talk about this from our perspective. What has been, or what was a magic bean for you? What was something that you are so excited about that you brought back and somebody else didn't quite see the shininess, the potential magic in the bean that you presented?
We were talking about Milky White, the cow, earlier. I didn't know if we were still on the livestock deal. Anyway, my magic bean is only something you can look back on that was really successful, right? Because there's been plenty of those that didn't work out, that they were right? The person was calling my beans trash, and they were right to say it. But this one, I left my job in 2014, making over $300,000 a year in the mortgage business. And for the vast majority of people that knew me, they were like, is everything okay? Like, why in the world would you leave such a kind of a good thing to go do this other thing? Like, did you get fired? There's all the questions like, is there something wrong at home? Like, help me understand. And what ended up happening is people got intrigued by the fact that this infinite banking concept, this road to financial freedom was so compelling to me that I had to leave and I had to share it with other people. And so anyways, that to me was that moment that I kind of second guessed, but I knew, that the Lord was calling me to it. So it made it a lot easier to just stay the course.
Yeah, no, I love that. John David, how about for you, man? What's been that magic bean for you? What was the magic bean in your past?
So I went to college and got a degree in business, and I was like, man, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. little did I know that that's not really how it works, right? And so I graduate college with a degree in business, and I got an opportunity at a career earning 100% commission only.
Yeah.
No salary, no nothing, no bridge, straight commish. And people were not intrigued like they were with Joey. They were not wanting me to share it with them. Like it was like, people were like, you don't have a salary? I'm like, I have no salary. Like, how are you going to pay your bills? I'm like, we're going to figure it out. Like, they showed me a projection of where I could be. I think I'm the guy that's going to get there. And they're like, yeah, but everyone fails. I'm like, but I'm not everyone. Like, this is going to be great. And so, but I was just so fixated on this opportunity, right, that the idea of making commission only, it didn't scare me. Like, it excited me because I felt like if I would have settled for a salary based on how I'm wired, like, I would have not had the same level of desire to want to go and succeed and be successful. Like, I would have just settled and coasted.
But I think it's so important, like, as entrepreneurs, like, we know that we represent 7% of the world, right? 93% of the people are not going to do the things that we're doing. And so they're going to push back, right? They're going to be that crab in the barrel trying to pull you back, right? Going to pull your arms off to get you back in there because, man, it seems like they're trying to protect you, but to some degree, it's like if you get too far outside of that barrel, then now you're out there on the loose and they're still in the barrel, right? I think that it's important to know that as we're going into some of these different passive income streams, that we're trying things differently that not everyone wants to do and definitely don't want us to do. I see that a lot. Jamie, how about for you? What's been a magic bean in your past?
Man, the magic beans for me was, I can remember it clear as day when I started talking about getting into real estate, investing in real estate, single family homes, trying to find my first rental property. And kind of similar, I mean, I had people around me who I loved and appreciated and care about telling me how risky this was, how I was going to lose all my money, how I wasn't setting my family up for success. So I had a great job, just climb the corporate ladder, and so there was a lot of pushback. Luckily, my personality tends to be, I want to go against the flow, kind of swim upstream or take the path less traveled. And I kept down that road. But investing in real estate really was the magic beans that you plant the seed and just watch it grow over time. But very similar to kind of JD's story of like, people were like, what are you doing? How are you going to do that? You have to have a lot of money to do this. And I was just going to find a way to figure it out.
Well, for me, the magic bean was definitely being a former certified financial planner, right? Working inside an investment office where everybody around me was, assets under management. I walk in the front door, there sits on the TV, the ticker, we're all like, hopping up on Wall Street, sucking as much of that information in as we possibly could. And then all of a sudden, I go to this conference and there's this 70-something-year-old man talking about this idea called becoming your own banker and the infinite banking concept. And I was so intrigued by it. I was so intrigued. And I read this book, I'm excited. I got my magic bean in my hand, I bring it back into the office and I go sit down at the table with the two people that I just trusted the most. And I was like, guys, man, this is amazing. But tell me why it doesn't work. What do you guys know that maybe I don't know? And they both looked at me and they're like, yeah, it just doesn't work. I'm like, well, but why doesn't it work? And they're like, we don't know. It just doesn't. I was like, well, that's not good. I was like, I think it works. I mean, based upon everything I've read so far. And of course, me, I'm going to go do a bunch of research. And so I spent like 6 months digging into this thing. I traveled all over the country. I interviewed people. This was before these webinars and Zoom was really popular. I don't know what I was on, GoToMeeting or something like, but I figured this out. And so I'm in this office and I was definitely the elephant in the room. Like, I'm doing this infinite banking thing and everybody else is out there looking at me like, you're doing what? You put money in life insurance? You're telling your clients about whole life insurance? You're stupid. Right.
That's the worst.
That was it was hard, man. It was really hard early on as breaking away from the Wall Street model in the middle of Wall Street to do this. All right, let's continue the story one step further.
That night, the beanstalk grew to an incredible height, reaching up to the sky. Jack witnessed this astonishing growth, sensing the start of a new adventure.
Wow, what's this? The beanstalk has grown up to the sky. I must climb it.
Driven by curiosity and a sense of adventure, Jack decided to climb the beanstalk. Upon reaching the clouds, Jack discovered a huge mystical castle. The castle seemed to be from another world, radiating a fantastic and magical aura. As Jack approached the castle, he faced a golden iron gate with elaborate designs. He cautiously opened the gate. Jack looked closely at the castle situated above the clouds. Feeling a sense of awe for this mysterious world above the clouds, he decided to enter to uncover its hidden secrets. Jack sneaked into the castle and encountered the wife of the giant. The giant's wife looked at Jack pityingly and said,
"Hide quickly before the giant returns. He's a very frightening man. You could be eaten."
The giant in another room was playing a magical harp and holding a chicken that laid golden eggs singing a song.
Fee-fee-fo-fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman.
Startled, Jack followed the giant's wife quietly out of the place.
All right, so he's encountered this giant. One, he had to climb this beanstalk, and I think we could go into what does that beanstalk represent in our life. But I'm going to skip past that part. So I'm going to come to you and ask you, there's this giant, right? This person, there's these gold, there's all this stuff's around, elaborate things, but here's this giant standing in Jack's way. Who or what is one of those giants that you've faced in the past?
For me, I think you would probably even borrow this with me, it's the whole purpose of this podcast is you and I had such limited knowledge of what to do with money. Once we started doing this infinite banking concept, we had all this cash being stacked up. We had redirected our cash flows from things that were going away from us to now we're accumulating cash in a place that we can access and start doing something with it. And we looked at each other like, and all of our clients were asking the same question. Well, what do we do with it? Well, what can we do with it? How do we get to financial freedom? This is just one step. We need steps 2, 3, 4. And for us, I had to get with people who were gurus, people that knew passive income, people that understood how to be investors. And I wasn't that investor. So that to me was kind of like this daunting feeling. And this, you could equate it to a giant, if you will.
How about for you, JD? What or who has been a giant in your past?
I did not grow up in a upper middle class family. So having access to money was not something that I had. And so I'm a financial advisor, helping people the traditional way, fail at finances. And no, I'm kidding. But I had an opportunity presented to me from a client. He was a realtor and he wanted to flip a house, but he didn't have cash. I wanted to get into real estate investing, but I didn't know how to get into real estate investing. So we were going to collaborate and come together. And so the biggest thing that we were missing though was cash, was money, which Russ will say that that's like the number one thing in order to obviously be financially free is that you got to be able to have access to money. And in this instance, that is true in this instance. So I had no M, but I had the rest of the odor, okay? In the motor that we talk about, money, opportunity, time, experience, and relationships. I had no M, all odor. And I didn't stink, but I just didn't have the smell of money on me. It's like I had to go find a way to go get capital. And so because of that, it put me in a situation to learn how to be creative. Like that's one of the things that I also love about giants that you face is that it forces you to have to become creative to fix the problem, right? And like, so these things are, you can call them a giant or an opportunity, whatever you want to do. But like, for me, it was an amazing opportunity to get creative to see if I really was wanting to get into real estate investing. And it was.
Nice. I love that. Jamie, how about for you? What was a giant in your past?
I talked a little bit about just the people in my life who were telling me I couldn't do this or couldn't fail. But, I think the biggest one when I think about it, I'm JOB, but I think it was the JOB, right? The job. I remember started to get successful, started to build some real estate, started doing some flips. And, I like to post those shiny things on Facebook and Instagram and let everyone see what I'm doing. And I remember a conversation kind of got pulled aside at a national sales meeting with the company that I was at. And they're like, hey, you have to stop posting this stuff on social media. And I was like, why? Why do I have to stop posting what I'm doing on social media? And like, well, it just looks bad. If you're supposed to be the face for this company and out there doing your job, people just ask questions about what you're doing on the side. And I was like, I want people to ask questions. I want this for everyone. I'm trying to change my family's life. I'm trying to get ahead. I'm trying to do something different. And all the time that we were having this conversation, I was being told not to kind of celebrate what was happening behind the scenes. I'm watching the owner of the company own, a private mansion in Aspen and a beach house or two in California and fly on private planes. And I'm like, well, if he can do it, why am I not allowed to do it? And, it's kind of like this overbearing power saying like, hey, we don't want you to go do something else because we want you to stay right here. We want you to stay right here and be comfortable and just go perform for us rather than change something for yourself.
Yeah, that's another crab in the barrel, isn't it, man? Grabbing at you.
Sure enough.
I had the inner monster, like that imposter syndrome. I don't know if you relate to this as you're listening, but like just this, man, I don't know how to do this. Why am I capable of making this happen? Right? There was no examples in my life that I could look to say, oh, my mom did that, or my dad did that, or my uncle. No, I mean, like I was lower class. My examples around money was my dad pawning stuff to pay the bills, or my mom, trying to prevent herself from spending, would put her credit cards in a Tupperware dish and fill them up with water and put them in the freezer. That was her. That was her way to try to prevent her spending money.
She froze her assets at that point.
Yeah, she definitely. That was a different way to lock your card up. So yeah, I had that inner giant though that was like always saying, "Are you sure? You sure you want to do that?" Right? Like our inner self is always trying to protect ourselves from doing things, and sometimes it's a good thing, right? Like, oh, you should jump off that ledge, like, oh, you should touch that, the hot pan. And there's also things that it's like, man, no, you need to take. You need to take these risks. You need to be able to step out there. So I had to fight that internal giant for me. All right, let's go back to our fairy tale here and keep this story going.
Jack hid in a place where the giant's wife had concealed him. There he discovered a treasure chest and stealthily took it with him as he left the castle. Jack returned home with the treasure chest and gold, starting a new life with his mother. However, their fortune soon ran out.
All right. So Jack brings down the treasure chest full of gold and hands it to mom. And all of a sudden, they're out of money. Like it's gone. It's gone. So Joseph.
Did they mention Amazon though? I don't remember Amazon being back there during Jack and
Right. You didn't see the cardboard monster showed up. Funny. For you, what has been maybe one of those gold treasure chest distractions?
For me, I share this in our book, and I've talked about it many times, but I had associated financial success with a higher income. And it's a myth because what happens is an active income. I should clarify, an active income, because an active income that goes from 50,000 to 100,000 to 200,000 does not create freedom. It only increases the value or the prices that you can pay for things and services. That's all it is. And Nelson talked about in his book, Parkinson's law, that things will rise to create in the void that's created, things will rise to meet that. And that including your spending, includes time, all these things. And so I think that is the biggest myth, is your income, your active income creates freedom. And as it shows in the fairy tale, it's spent just as fast as it comes in.
Well, you think about the game cash flow, right? The person who gets the doctor or the airplane pilot card as compared to the person with the janitor card or the police officer card. Who has the highest likelihood of getting out of the rat race in most situations in that game?
Yeah, typically like janitor or lower income.
Yeah, right. Because of the expenses, because we we attach that, right? Like we end up trying to keep up with the, with the Murrays or with the Hills or the O'Briens. I mean, we just constantly spinning.
Well,
be upgrading the Corolla to the Abbey.
Tribe, listen up. We're entering into the election year. This is the time where people are going to get super fearful. We're going to see businesses start to dry up. We're going to see opportunities, though, pile up for us only if we're prepared.
That's right. You get to choose right now. Will you allow this time frame to negatively affect you in your business and your investments? Or will you be prepared to take advantage of these huge opportunities that come on the backside of this because you're prepared with cash?
Let's get our house in order. If you haven't already maximized the infinite banking concept in your life, here's the chance for you to start learning. Go to wealthwithoutwallstreet.com/IBC. Take our free webinar so that you can start getting equipped with the things that you need to know so that you can take action on this looming event.
Jamie, how about for you, man? What was one of those maybe gold chests for you?
Yeah, so it was one of the first houses we flipped and actually made some decent money on. I'll never forget. All of a sudden, it was like, oh man, what do we do with this? And my idea was always to reinvest into more real estate. But something before I found the infinite banking concept, it kind of made it a little bit harder to access. Isn't the right word, but put it into a place where it was more efficient and meant to be. It was just sitting in a bank account, and when it was just sitting in a bank account, all of a sudden we needed a new couch and a new TV and new chairs. I think my wife went and got some custom made chairs or something. We went on 2 vacations that year, and all of a sudden we're looking back and we're right where we started, right? And I'm just like, where did all of this go? I mean, to Joey's point, it's like we just found a way for that money to disappear because it was something we were new to. We weren't used to having extra cash sitting in the bank account. And we had to be cognizant about that and make some changes as we continue to have those windfalls of income come into the bank. And thank goodness we found IBC as one of those tools to be able to store cash in a kind of a intentional way.
Oh, so good. How about for you, JD?
First of all, my magic bean took me about 2 years before it turned into any beans, right? Like at all.
Let's be clear.
Let's be very, very clear. I mean, I was a financial advisor and I was on food stamps and Medicare. But I had the head knowledge. I just, for some reason, just couldn't execute. And so I remember like the biggest opportunity that I had turned into a 6-figure income that I got. And thank you, Joey. I couldn't rub 2 beans together. And so I got this massive influx of capital that I never had before. And all of a sudden, we're out looking at houses to buy, my wife and I, right? Like, we're like, oh, we got some, like immediately line up the realtor. Let's go look at some houses, right? And the bank's like, you don't qualify for a house. I'm like, I qualify for this house. Do you see my bank account? And they're like, this is new money. We can smell the odor on you. You have no M. And so it's like that was, and we did that. We ended up buying a house, and then you realize like, oh, but now you got to furnish the house. And then, oh, you got to upkeep the house. And then, oh, you got to pay for the expenses of the house. And then all of a sudden, this 6 figures is gone, right? And then don't forget to mention, the credit card miles. Like, that's enticing. So we're doing the credit card miles, and then all of a sudden, we give all those miles back because we couldn't pay the bill, right? So we got all this interest now accruing. And I'm like, I feel like Jenny from the block. I started from the bottom, but I'm still there. And so it was like that was a huge distraction for me, was trying to get to the place that I always wanted to get to and thinking in that one moment that I'd made it, and I hadn't.
Well, so I don't know if you had clients like this ever, but my wife, her grandfather, he had been pretty successful. He had been a president of a bank for 20 or 30 years, had stock in that bank, and it ultimately got bought by Bank of America. If you have read our book, you'll hear me talk about the story of my father-in-law inheriting Bank of America stock. But I remember my wife, she gets this $10,000 check from her grandfather. Grandfather decides he's going to start giving away, at that time, the gift allowance was $10,000 per person. He starts giving away $10,000 to each kid and each grandkid as he starts preparing his estate planning. And that $10,000 showed up in our bank account, guys. And I'm just telling you, like, I hadn't seen more than hundreds of dollars in a bank account before. And 10,000 showed up. And it was like, I won the lottery. I was like, what are we going to do with this? I don't even know. I mean, like, I was scared. Like, I had no idea. Like, I could go pay off all cars, all houses, and every family member I had. I got that kind of money, you know, $10,000. What are you going to do? So I'm like, man, I'm going to be a good steward of this. I wasn't like you guys. I did start shopping immediately, other than I started shopping financial advisors. I was like, you know, you guys got to have to be sharp to work with my 10 grand. And I remember I interviewed 2 different financial advisors, and one of them was at a bank, and one of them was a guy that my brother-in-law had just done some business with. And Megan and I sit down at the bank, and we're like asking the question, and you know, he's got like this, like, are you serious, guys? 10 grand? That's what we're talking about here?
Am I getting punked right now?
Yeah, and like, we're dead serious. Like, you better impress us, or if we're walking out of here with our 10 grand, you're not getting a piece of it. And like, he's like, I mean, I don't even really know what option I got for you. And we just went home, and I'm like, I don't trust him. I didn't trust Wall Street then either. I was like, I don't trust him. We're not doing it. We are not going to put money in here. We're not going to let these guys lose our money. That is not what's going to happen. And I will tell you, slowly but surely, that 10 grand became zero in a hurry. I don't know where it went. I wish I could tell you it went somewhere fun. But I just remember the interview of the financial advisors with my 10 grand. Let's continue our story here. Let's move back, because I think this is going to be something we talk about a lot as it relates to the golden goose.
As the situation became desperate, Jack climbed the beanstalk 2 more times. On his second climb, he brought back a chicken that laid golden eggs. On his last climb.
All right, so Jack goes up the beanstalk the second time. First time he brought home the golden treasure chest, and they burned through that money. But the second time he comes back with this bird laying golden eggs. So we love talking about how passive income helps us become financially free when it exceeds our monthly expenses. So Stallion, what's been your golden goose?
So to be clear, I didn't realize it was a chicken. I was expecting it to be a golden goose, but it turned out to be a chicken. I'm not sure that really matters, to be honest. But the key is that it's continuously laying these eggs, which is how we're making this jump, that this is passive income, as we'll talk about later on in the thing. That's what created security, and that's what created the ongoing kind of stability for their family. And so for me, the things that I have seen be as profitable as possible in this passive income world are things that we've created that are businesses. So I point to like our short-term rental business. I point to like our different masterminds and information businesses and things of that nature. Even some of the other types of things like our land flipping business, that is something that was started as a business. Those things are the things we enjoy the most and that we have seen the most success from, that create that golden goose kind of continual income.
Yeah. You guys, one of the businesses you didn't hear him mention was the unicorns business, or the one where we started the cow business, right? That was not in the list there.
Listen, it wasn't a golden chicken business. That would have been better. But just pause for the 100 unicorns, okay? I'm not going to share that until it becomes the golden chicken. Okay,
I'm a customer. I'm a customer, and I wrote a great review for you.
I'm grateful
on the throne of lies. All right, let's come to you, JD. Give me a golden goose in your life.
Yeah, I think because of my experience, right, as I like go back to the beginning to just where I am today, the thing that stands out the most to me is that I am the golden goose, right? The fact that I have been willing to invest in myself, to learn the skills that I need to learn, to get to the right rooms with the right people, to build the right relationships, I am the golden goose, because the reality is that my ability to earn and my ability to go then take those earnings and create passive income, like that is the golden goose. Like if I stop earning, I can't go create passive income. Right. So for all intents and purposes, like I am the golden goose.
So you got the EDU, not the EMU. All right, Jamie, how about for you?
Man, my golden goose has been rental real estate. I mean, it's plain and simple. It started as single family homes. I've talked about that a few times already. Let's go buy single family homes. But then I realized, like, you had to add a lot of single family homes to get to my passive income number. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I will always purchase single family homes, but it started to open my eyes to other avenues. And so as I really learned more about leverage, learned about IBC, and learned how kind of the velocity of money worked, I started doing single family homes with my own cash, right? And then we started storing money in IBC and thinking about how we were leveraging those dollars from the insurance company. And what I started to realize is like, hey, I can use other people's money to go do my real estate deals. And then I've got my money that I can go lend out. So I got into private lending and started doing some private lending with my cash while I was doing real estate. That led to small multifamily apartments, and it's kind of just continued to grow from there into some other passive investments. But it started with the rental real estate and just understanding how an asset and good leverage can benefit you long term. And it's been great.
Well, you've seen Joey and I every single month share our passive income report for the last 4 years now. We started July of 2020, and it started out, our golden goose was one single family rental, some crypto miners, and one short-term rental. That was $2,400 a month. And oh, were we so proud. And it continued to grow, right? As we started adding things to that list. And now we sit here and it's like 50 grand a month. And there's lots of things on that list that I'm proud of, but probably nothing more proud of than the land flipping note business that we have. So we buy raw land, we turn around and we sell it on owner finance terms, and people will pay us for the next 5 to 6 years. And of course, a percentage of those will default, and then we just resell it and start the process over. And we just take that income that's coming in, we just buy more land and turn it into more notes. And that's grown to about 30 grand a month right now. So yeah, that's our golden goose, is this land flipping idea. All right, we got just one more part of the story. Let's pop back over here, this last section.
Jack discovered a dazzling golden magical harp and decided to take it home, captivated by its beauty. But then, discovered by the giant, Jack hurriedly fled the castle amidst great chaos and began descending the beanstalk. As the giant followed, shaking the beanstalk on his descent, Jack was engulfed in terror. With the giant's roars echoing, Jack descended the beanstalk more rapidly and desperately. As soon as Jack safely reached the ground, he called out to his mother to bring an axe. Once she brought it, Jack ran towards the beanstalk and began chopping it down with all his might. As the beanstalk fell, the giant crashed to the ground along with it. The earth shook with a great impact, and the giant lay still, no longer moving. Jack sighed with relief, and his adventure finally came to a peaceful end. After this perilous adventure, Jack and his mother lived a peaceful and comfortable life. The chicken that laid golden eggs provided them with a steady income. Jack and his mother could afford everything they needed, and their lives became much more stable than before. Moreover, the magical harp filled their home with music and joy. The harp played beautiful melodies on its own, soothing their hearts. Thanks to the magical harp, Jack and his mother could enjoy art and beauty in their daily lives. They no longer suffered from worries and difficulties, living happily and contentedly.
All right, so now Jack comes down the beanstalk, kills the giant after he's stolen all his stuff. Because that part's a little hard, right? Like I don't get that part, but the last one I want us to touch on is
Fairy tale promotes crime.
What is the importance, Stallion, of the golden harp?
I think it's kind of similar to when you start thinking about the importance of life. At the top of it is self-actualization, right? There's basic needs that have to be met, and then there's more, and then at the very top is self-actualization. I don't remember all the terminology, you know that. But in this case, the golden harp is, what is this all for, right? What's the mission? What's the thing that we're about as a family? And until you have those kind of basic things taken care of, it really doesn't matter as much. You're just trying to survive. But once that's done, man, now I can really focus on, in my case, I think it is my family really being on mission as it relates to the gospel. Just this last 2 weeks ago, I was able to take my two oldest daughters to the Dominican Republic and spend time sharing the gospel, being around God's people in a whole different country, getting my brain expanded and my life expanded to see other countries and how they relate to the Lord. That to me is what, being able to give more and more. Like, those are the things that being in a position of financial freedom has allowed me to think, how much bigger could that be? And that's, in my opinion, that's the golden harp in our family.
Yeah. So I think Joey was referencing Maslow's hierarchy of needs, kind of where the baseline,
there you go,
is the food and water, then you have shelter, then you have love, then you have esteem, and then self-actualization at the top. How about for you, JD? What's the importance of the golden harp?
Man, family is everything. And because of what we've been able to accomplish now this year, we've been able to plan out, like I shared before on another podcast, 7 different trips that we're going to take this year. And so being able to invest in memories, because to the point that you just made, like, you can't take it with you, right? But core memories, things that then my boys will be able to do with their kids, and then their kids will be able to do with their kids. Like, that's generational. That's long term. That's a legacy that I can leave behind. And so it's being able to make memories with my family. That's the golden harp for me. And this year, by the time the year is over, we'll have taken 7 trips this year, a couple international trips. And I was talking to my boys last night as I was tucking them in, and I was talking to Emmett. I was like, Emmett, what do you wish we did more of? And it was funny. He's like, I wish we took more trips. I'm like, bro, like, we already take a lot. And he's like, yeah, I want to do more. And I love that, like, he wants, and I asked him, I'm like, well, why do you want to take more trips? He's like, because I just like exploring new things with my family and being able to do cool things with my family. And so I love that he connected what we're doing and which is taking the vacations, but he's seeing it under the perspective of, like, what I want to do, which is spending time with family, right? He's putting those two things together. And so that was really rewarding.
Yeah, I love that. How about for you, Jamie? What's the golden harp?
And the golden harp for me, when we start working with clients, one of the first things we do is have them go through our passport challenge, which is really about getting the vision out there of what you want out of life. Like, what, to Joy's point, why are we doing all of this? What's the end goal? In the middle of my vision board is make a difference. It's right there in the center of it. And in my previous career, W-2 employee, medical sales, I was getting financial fulfillment. It was a well-paying job, but I was not getting personal fulfillment. There wasn't a ton of joy there for me. I was traveling 4 different states. To JD's point, I was away from my kids and my growing family, young kids, young family for extended periods of time. And so the golden harp of really building passive income gave me the options to not have to rely on the JOB, but find the JOY, right? And so I feel like helping people every single day, try and bring them along with me, try and teach them the concepts that we all understand, and try and help them control their finances and make changes in their life that's going to change their life. That brings me so much joy, and I feel like I'm making a difference, and I could do that all day long. And if you're having fun and you're getting a lot of joy out of it, it's no longer a JOB.
Wow, so good. We once had a guest on the podcast that talked about having the ability to receive passion income when you have passive income, right? Like, we're called to be in service, we're called to work. And I think sometimes we can resent the work that we're in when maybe the stress of the financial situation at home is piling up and it's dependent upon that income stream. But when we build passive income that equals or exceeds our monthly needs, then we get to be passionate at work. We get to go and be in service and doing the things that we love and working hard at it. I think that's an amazing thing. For me, I look at this story and I just, giving credit back to the family teams podcast who did this and shared this. It was really cool that they put the point in there. The order does matter, right? Getting They needed the income to start off with. Most of the time, people need an income to be able to start saving, put money in IBC, and then they start leveraging that to go buy assets, right? Create their golden goose. And as long as you get the order out of place, you don't go buy the golden heart first, right? But at the end, right, they're enjoying music and art in the fairy tale after they've gotten those first things. And for me, that golden harp has been a lake house, man. It's been the enjoyment of being there with our family and enjoying time together. Those are the conversation pieces that I want to, transcend past my life into generations and them have that experience. But it was not possible while I was still trying to build all those other pieces. And it wasn't, comfortable until that passive income can help pay for it, right? Well, I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Hope you found value, something that you can share with your kids, no matter their age, that this is something that there's a lesson behind it, and hopefully it resonated with you. And there's something that you're thinking about how this applies, and how are you building your golden goose? How are you getting closer to being able to enjoy your golden heart? And if you haven't already, you need to try to figure out, how do I get started? What's those first couple of steps on that journey? Go to what'swhatwallstreet.com/free call. And one of these coaches can help, evaluate your situation and maybe help give you eyeballs around the corner of what's possible and help you get fast-tracked on your path to becoming financially free. Have an amazing day.
This has been the Wealth Without Wall Street podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to the show to break free of the Wall Street mindset and begin building wealth on your own terms in places you understand, so that your wealth will never run dry. See you next episode.